Hello and welcome to Rolling with Reviews. I'm Will, and with me as always is the one who knows that the only important thing now is victory.
Sarah.
And today we're doing a review of Manhattan Project War Machine. Now if you're interested in our two-player perspective and accessibility, check out our other video, Rolling with Two, Manhattan Project War Machine. We'll also put out an overview video that covers sort of the FAQs on how to set up the game, how to play the game, and how to score at the end of the game. Sarah, tell us a bit about War Machine.
All right, you play as a company trying to support the country's readiness for war. Utilize dice workers to produce resources and build structures that can be used to score you points and give you better abilities during the game. Whoever has the most points at the end wins. Okay, Will, so why did we get this?
Now, we've been a fan of the Manhattan Project line.
Yes.
And when we looked at this one, we thought it had some pretty interesting mechanisms.
Yep.
So we backed the project and got it.
And here it is. So let's talk about what we like about the game. The mechanisms.
Oh, geez, it's pretty slick. And it's because of how the dice are used.
Yeah, so one of the things I really like is that your turn, you're basically using your dice twice. And you're not changing the die faces, so you have to use them as is, which also adds an interesting element of strategy. So you have to place the dice out on the board, and you're going to take certain actions, and they could be anything from producing resources, converting resources, and building structures. There is a follow action, which we'll talk about because that's the other really interesting thing. But once you're done with that, you take your dice off and you're going to put them on your personal boards. Some dice are going to have to go in certain places, and then you have choices on some of the other ones. But once you've decided where your dice are going, then you can choose to activate your structures in any order that you want to. And these things do a lot of the same things that the main board does. A little more focus on victory points, I think.
A little bit.
A little bit more. But the really interesting thing is balancing having a mix of different structures to do different things so that you can do the same balancing act on the board and just be able to maximize your potential as much as you can. And it's just a really interesting puzzle. And especially if you're like trying to get certain die faces and, well, you can't, well, then you have to literally roll with the punches. There is some mitigation or manipulation, but not a whole lot. So that's just really, I think, engaging to me.
Yes. And while Sarah's taking a fantastic turn, I'm still getting benefits from her placing dice on the main board because it has a follow action. So if she takes one of the actions that give her a lot of something, and that's when she uses a specific symbol, then I get a lesser action on her turn.
Right. And the interesting thing is, let's say I'm producing food. Well, he has a list of like 3 things that he can get. He doesn't have to get food. He could do something else.
Yes. So I could maybe do an exchange for victory points, or maybe build a building.
Yes.
Because I have all the resources I need. So I'm actually building stuff on her turn.
Yeah.
And it's just moving me ahead. It doesn't necessarily feel like, well, the main actions is how you start building your engine, and the structure is how you run your engine. Mm-mm. They're both kind of all mixed together.
Right.
So both are building and running an engine.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just integrated, but intertwined system. Because like you said, in a lot of other engine building games, you gain stuff from the main board to make an engine in front of you. But a lot of it is a bit more mixed than that, where you're going to do a little bit of different things on the main board and do a little bit of different things here, but one feeds into the other, which feeds into the other. So a lot of times, yes, you're getting stuff off the main board to prepare you for activating your structures. But then activating your structures is going to prepare you for your next turn to do, good actions on the main board. And so it's this just a continual feed cycle.
Yes.
So just that with the follow action just makes this a very engaging game because there's very little downtime ever. Like, because I'll place a die, I'll get a small action. Will's going to decide what follow action he gets, and then I move on to the next die. So everybody's engaged on everybody's turn almost all the time.
Yes.
So just fantastic.
Yes.
And then the dice. Dice are cool.
Yeah, they're big and engraved, and I can just feel them, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's the nuclear symbol. Oh yeah, that's the wrench. Oh yeah, that's the star. It's one. A lot of times when dice are this specialized, these gadget type dice, I don't know what's on them.
Right. Half the time they're just screen printed, or even when they're engraved, they do something so fancy that you can't feel the difference between anything.
Yeah.
They chose very simple icons that are very effective, and that means that Will can feel the outline of them.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's everything we really like about the game. What we don't like about the game.
The rules.
Unfortunately, this is one of the worst rule sets I've ever read, and combine that with a lot of the inconsistencies between the components and the rules and missing information. Well, we felt kind of motivated because we do really love the mechanisms of this game.
Yeah, I had to say, Jan Gonzalez, who designed the game, I don't think it was their problem. I think it was more on a publisher level that they didn't do their due diligence to make this game as polished as it probably should have been.
Yeah.
So for that reason, you can check out our Rolling with 2 to see basically a list of a lot of the problems. But you can also check out our overview video where we kind of address the issues where we felt there was a lot of stumbling blocks. And considering there were stumbling blocks throughout the entire course of the game, we do cover setup, we do cover a sample turn, and we do cover sample scoring.
Yeah, those were the areas that most people had issues with on Board Game Geek, and so that's the other place we would turn you to. Go to Board Game Geek, search for Manhattan Project War Machine. In the forum section, there's an FAQ. There's a lot of people asking questions, and the company, the publisher, Grail Games, is on there answering questions, and they are updating, well, they say they're working on updating the rules. They haven't posted it as of recording of this, but they do have a reference sheet for all the tiles, because that was one of the biggest issues we had and other people had, is that there's no explanation of the iconography anywhere in the rules, which is a big issue. So they do have this reference sheet. It's downloadable. I hope they'll put it into the next edition with their revised rules. I think the other thing we kind of have some issues with is the theme doesn't feel well integrated, and we talk about that as well in the accessibility portion of our Rolling with 2 video.
Yes. If you're actually looking for the file that Sarah was talking about, I believe it's called Structure Tile Glossary Sheet.
Yes.
And that's, again, on BGG.
Yep. All right, let's move on to who this is for.
Hardcore gamers?
Yeah,
that are willing to put up with the rules?
Right. If you get this game just what's in the box and you're not looking online, this is only really going to be manageable by hardcore gamers who are willing to put in the work.
And you'll still be missing stuff because there are rules that aren't actually in here. Like, it doesn't tell you that you score 2 points if you get any of your resources on the last spaces of the warehouse boards.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that.
It's not in the rules.
It's not
so you're
there.
right. Even with that, this game is not 100% playable right out of the box. It's going to take someone who will go on to Board Game Geek or Grail Games' website, because I do believe they have some of the resources posted to their website. But if you're looking for active discussions, then you'll need to go to Board Game Geek for it. All right, let's move on to our rating.
So for our ratings, we each have 1d6 worth of ratings to give. 1 is low, 6 is high. We give a number, a reason why, add them together, and see what it rolled for us. Sarah, what did Manhattan Project War Machine roll for you?
All right, this is a fantastic game buried under terrible rules. But with everything that's going on, I am giving it a 5. Now, I love this game. I love the 2-part dice activation. The theme I don't like only because it's not really well integrated. And honestly, if the publisher weren't so active on BGG and being responsive and respectful of people coming up and saying, we can't learn your game, if they had just been silent and not answering anybody's questions, I would rate this a 3 because we wouldn't have gotten any answers to any of our questions. But Grail Games is doing a fantastic job of trying to recover from obviously some missteps. and they're making this game better, but it's all online resources at the moment. But with those and how much I do really enjoy how this game plays, it's a 5 for me.
For me, I have a similar opinion, but I'm a little bit harsher. I give it a 4.
This time you're the harsh one.
I am the harsh one here, and it pains me to give this a 4 because it is such a fantastic game. It's why we actually took extra time to do an overview video.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I'm probably just a little bit lower than Sarah is because this doesn't feel like a Manhattan Project game.
No, it doesn't. Although I have to admit that never bothered me, but yeah.
Yeah, that never bothered me. That never bothered you. It bothers me.
Yeah, got it.
Because I'm such a big fan of Manhattan Project, and I see what they're trying to get at and trying to do. It's just
it's not succeeding.
It's not succeeding, which is a shame because, like I said, I love the mechanics. This game is brilliant in a lot of ways. And the other thing that just chops it down is the instructions.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to open up the box and like, well, I guess we're doing some research.
Or we're going to make stuff up. Which, some people will. And I mean, like, kudos to them. Play the game your way because there's holes. You got to fill them in. You fill them in with whatever you want, I guess.
Yeah, and as long as you're making it fun and everybody's happy, more power to you.
Exactly.
But yeah, so combined 9 out of 12. This game should be rated higher.
Yes.
Honestly, it has baggage.
I'm going to say it right here. I would give this a 6 if the rules were completely redone. If they were completely redone, well, you're right. They still have the problem of things don't thematically work as well.
Mm-hmm. But you don't care about the theme.
But I don't care about the theme. I'm already at a 5. If the rules had everything, were clear, made sense, and they matched what was on the board and in the components, I'd give it a 6. And I think for you, it would take rules, but it would also take a thematic revision.
So rules correction, probably a 5.
Yeah.
If they got the thematics, then yeah, I'd be a 6.
Yeah. So it was real close. Just missed.
Yeah. You almost finished the marathon, but you got tired and decided to go shopping. There you go. And what says War Machine like stopping and going shopping?
Definitely.
All right, Sarah.
Yeah.
Since we talked about the Manhattan Project series, where do you feel this ranks compared to all the other Manhattan Project games that are out there?
Well, we haven't played them all.
Right. We haven't played the second one.
Yeah, the Minutes to Midnight.
Minutes to Midnight.
We have it. We've had it for a long time.
We did play Energy Empire, and we did play Chain Reaction.
Yes.
And we did play the first Manhattan Project and the expansion to it.
We did. I feel like there's an expansion we didn't play, but it might be the expansion to Energy Empire?
Yes, that's the one. That's the other expansion we didn't play.
If we're just talking base games, I really liked Energy Empire, but I will have to say Energy Empire is a bit more complex, or my brain works better with War Machine. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but it's also been a while since we played Energy Empire or even Manhattan Project for that point.
Yeah.
There are, from what I can remember right now, I like War Machine the best. And I think
just because of the mechanics.
The mechanics, the mechanisms, whatever you want to call them, they work really well for me. There were still some aspects of the original game, like bombing, basically. I'm the type of person, like, if you're going to get me to play a war game, it has to be non-confrontational. Mm-hmm. So I didn't care for the bombing. Granted, when you and I mostly played Manhattan Project, we usually didn't bomb each other.
And even when we did, it was like, whatever.
It just, But I did like Energy Empire a lot, but I do feel like that had more complexity to it. So because of that, it's a game that I wouldn't be able to play as frequently.
Yeah, this is much easier to get
I feel with War Machine, if on a weeknight, I actually feel like I could play this.
Yes.
Where Energy Empire is definitely a Saturday afternoon game.
Yeah, you need to clear out your space, both in brain and time, just to get it on the table.
I need a full good 8 hours of sleep, which I don't tend to get on weeknights, and have a full chunk of time that's not me falling asleep. Mm-hmm. What about you?
I think this slots in right under the original Manhattan Project game.
Okay.
I'm still a huge fan
That's true.
of that first one, which is why anytime Manhattan Project comes up, I like, ooh, check it, ooh, check it, ooh, check it. I'm like, okay. Well, you know, it's a bidding game. I don't care. It's a Manhattan Project. And I'm like, okay. And then that's why I'm so disappointed when a theme kind of doesn't mesh well.
It isn't well integrated.
Right.
So yeah. Okay.
All right, and that'll do it for us. And we've been
Rolling with Reviews.
If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with Two, that's TWO. We're on Blue Sky, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Discord, we have a channel on Tabletop Express. Check the show notes for the invite link.
If you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.